Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Ledwell, and this is The Inspiration Show. Today on the show, I have a very special guest who's written a new book called We Consciousness 33 Profound Truths for Inner and Outer Peace. This is quite an interesting book and subject knowledge because the person we're going to be talking to today actually is able to communicate and commune with angels. So I'm really looking forward to getting into the conversation today. But before I introduce my special guest, I just want to remind you that once the show is over, don't forget to click the link below this video so that you can download the free ebook version of my best-selling book, Never in Your Wildest Dreams. So please let me introduce my special guest, Karen. Is it Noah?
Noe.
Karen Noe. Pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. So yes, you've written a new book called We Consciousness. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into writing this book and the communication that you have.
Okay, well, I am a psychic medium, and I had a spiritual experience about 25 years ago. I was going through a difficult time in my life, and at that time, I just sat at the edge of my bed and I yelled at God, and I said, "Am I going to be okay?" And with that, I saw a light that came towards me from the other side of the room. And my first response was, "If you're not of God, please leave." But the more I said that, the more it kept coming towards me, and eventually it enveloped me. At that time, I heard an audible voice that said, "Lucia Lucina, Bella Lucia Lucina." I don't know if you're Italian, but it means light, beautiful little light. I've since learned that was St. Francis of Assisi, who's been guiding me and protecting me ever since. And for those who follow me on Facebook or have read any of my books, you'll see my St. Francis connection about the animals or about peace and all of that. And that led me to connect with Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Right. Now, this is what I was going to talk to you about. So you were able to channel or be able to communicate with Wayne on the other side. Tell us a little bit about how that came.
Reluctantly. First of all, I do clients. I'm booked for 2 years ahead of time so that you know my background. So I was a huge fan of Dr. Dyer, and I did not know him personally. Through, I don't know, synchronistic events, you may call it, brought his family to me. It started with, I was supposed to be speaking for my publisher, Hay House, about life after death in Orlando, Florida, right after Dr. Dyer passed. And I was sitting on the author bus. They had the authors and Wayne Dyer's family going from the hotel over to the conference center where they were going to be doing the tribute. And there was one seat available, and it happens to be next to me. And in walked Serena Dyer, one of his daughters, and sat down next to me. And we started to talk and got connected. And we only have 15 minutes, so I'll get just down to the nitty gritty. We just talked then. Eventually, her and two of her sisters and her mom flew in from Florida to New Jersey to see me. And he came through with very personal messages for each of them. And in the We Consciousness, they added that in the appendix because they're very personal messages. I don't feel free to share that with the world because it was so personal. But subsequently, he came through on the first New Year's Eve after he started to come through. And he said he was going to be joining forces. He said to me, with a group consciousness called the We Guides, which includes St. Francis of Assisi, Ascended Masters, angels, and deceased loved ones. And they were going to be joining together, and it would be hard to differentiate him from everyone else when he comes through in that way. And they gave me the 33 concepts for inner and outer peace. And it is a long story, but I made it very short.
No, I know, but it's amazing because, we hear about these collective consciousnesses that other people are able to connect with, like the most famous one is Esther Hicks being able to with Abraham, and there's several others that I know that collect, that connected different collective consciousnesses. So is this part of the same consciousness, or is this a different collective altogether?
They probably are all the same. But different messages for each person. Esther Hicks is talking about how our thoughts and feelings create our reality, whereas they're speaking to me about peace, creating peace on earth. So yes, it's pretty much the same. And the most important concept of the We Consciousness is that we are all one. every one of us, but it's hard to understand that when we're in a physical body. But everything we do to oneself or another, it affects the whole. And that pretty much sums it all up.
Right. And, you know, and what's so interesting, before we go into to more information is about, you know, Dr. Wayne Dyer, is this, I think that what he's experiencing as he's transitioned to the other side is exactly what he, I think, was expecting. Like, you know, he talked a lot about this when he was on, you know, when he was here. So it looks like he's, you know, really fulfilling what it was that he truly believed was going to be his transition.
And he was so excited to talk about the afterlife and so excited to talk about the we consciousness and all of that. So it's truly amazing. And by the way, he's not just coming to me, he's coming to many people. All you need to do is ask him and he'll be there for you.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? Like, we all have this ability to be able to tap into the other side and be open to this insight being able to come through us?
Absolutely. It's not just Karen Noe. You know, right. We were on the same vibration. I was asking, how may I serve? That's what he used to say. I love St. Francis and all of that. So it just so happened that I heard him. You know, most people expect to see an apparition of their loved one or an angel or to hear an audible voice. But how they come to us is often as thoughts. You know, they speak to us telepathically. So we have to learn how to do that, how to understand how they're coming to us, how to empty our thoughts so that we could hear, you know, we could hear theirs. If our thoughts are going a mile a minute, we can't hear them.
Exactly right.
Right.
So tell me about the 33 concepts. Now we're talking about world peace here, but you know, how did you know, when did they come to you, and how do we, you know, give us an idea of what some of these concepts are?
It started happening when I first started connecting with his family. And then he at first, he was so excited to talk about the afterlife and the we consciousness. And when his family came to see me, he said to them, you know, I'm so excited to talk about the we consciousness. Would you like to hear about that or personal messages? Of course, they said personal messages. They wanted to know if it was really him. So he did. He told them all personal messages, which showed you that it truly was Wayne Dyer speaking. And then when I used to go for walks with my dog, I'd be, you know, walking and he would be downloading information about the we concepts, you know, 33 concepts. So I took my cell phone with me as I was going for a walk and I would just tape record it so I didn't miss it. It took a long time, but I eventually got all 33.
Right. So with the book, are you talking just about the concepts or how we can also embody them as well?
How we can embody them, how it begins with peace within ourselves first. Because oftentimes we put everybody else first and we put myself included. I do that, that I'm just as important as everyone else. And we have to realize that we are part of the we consciousness. You know, we're not less, we're not more, and so forth. As a matter of fact, when I first started communicating with Wayne at first, I didn't know it was really him. After that tribute to Dr. Dyer, I decided not to go on that bus because I didn't feel I was significant enough, because all my favorite authors were on that bus, as well as Wayne Dyer's family. So I decided to walk back to the hotel room and I'm saying, I'm so insignificant. I'm so insignificant. I was saying this in my mind. And that's when I heard him for the first time. And he said, get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. And that's what we all have to do. Get out of our own way and understand we are significant.
Absolutely. You know, and we all play a part, you know, in our way, with our personality in the lives that we have. We can always be an example for those people around us. So so you talk a lot about self-love. So tell me a little bit more about what your definition of that is and how we get to that place, you know, and maintain that.
I'm a work in progress with this. I'll tell you that. That's one of the.
Aren't we all?
Oh my gosh. But we have to understand that we're just as important as everyone else. And we can't give of ourselves if we don't give up to ourselves. You know, we can't give to others if we don't give to ourselves. I don't know about you, but I feel depleted many times because I just keep giving and giving and giving and giving. We cannot do that. We have to understand that we are just as important as everybody else is. And to wake up in the morning, and I used to say, how may I serve? But now I say, how may I serve myself and others?
Oops, sorry, let me just get rid of that. Yep.
And that's the way I live life right now, you know, to understand that I need to serve myself as well.
That's right. And so how do you do that? Like, what does it look like when you're someone who wants to be that conduit or wants to be, to serve a purpose or to contribute? How do you show self-love to yourself?
I have to set limits. I have boundaries. Sometimes, so many people want things of me. I'm booked for as I said before, 2 years ahead of time, and I worked weekends and so forth. I couldn't give any more. So I have to say no. And I'm not hurting anybody. I was hurting myself, at that time. So I had to learn to say no, and with love. And then eventually they would come. They could come and they could wait a little bit and so forth. So you have to learn to put yourself up there as well.
Yeah. Well, I know I have a friend of mine that says, I had to learn that no was a full sentence.
No explanations needed. You just have to say, I cannot. I'm sorry. I don't come in on the weekends anymore, or something like that.
Yeah. And self-love is really this, if we're in that place, we're resonating at a higher frequency, right? So how do we get to that frequency of self-love?
That is so good. Such a good question. We have to understand that we all have a God within us. You want to call him God or he or she, whatever you want to call, source, energy, divine. We're divine beings of love and light. And the only difference between miracle workers and those who are not are the miracle workers realize it, right? So we have to make sure we're vibrating at the same level that the God within us is vibrating, which is only love. We need to learn how to forgive others, treat people with compassion, treat ourselves with compassion, go out in nature, see through the eyes of others, see where they're coming from. You may not understand where they're coming from, but to try to understand them better by understanding through their eyes. Because after we pass away, we go through a life review where we're able to see and feel how we've affected everybody. And why is that? We feel it as if we are the other person. The reason is because we are the other person. We are all one. And because our bodies are not separating us from each other, we can actually feel that connection. So I would tell people to try to see through each other's eyes right now before it's too late.
Yeah. The other thing is that, so when you're obviously able to connect with this collective consciousness. We talked a little bit about how you are a medium. So what kind of other celebrities do you have connection with that really helps to reinforce this message as well?
What kind of celestial beings? Because you just froze. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
So celestial beings would include God, the angels, ascended masters, our guardian angels, archangels, and they're all different. But you connect with them in the same way, deceased loved ones. And they come through in different ways. What I would say is to ask, everyone that's listening to this right now can do the same thing. I would tell you or anyone else to ask them to give you a without a doubt sign so that without a doubt that they're with you. And then be patient and wait, and the sign will come when you least expect it. It will come in many ways. It could come as the numbers, same numbers keep coming up for you. 1111, 2222. A car will cut you off and it'll be your loved one's name, or their song will come on when you need to hear it most, or a bird, a ladybug, a butterfly, a dragonfly will land on you, or so forth, something that the animal normally wouldn't do. So that will be just confirming that they are with us. And you just have to be patient. It will happen. These signs do occur, not just for Karen Noe, but for everybody.
I know I have the recurring number thing happening every single day, especially since I've started working on my children's program. And I just bought a new condo. And hummingbirds are like my little. I actually got a little hummingbird tattoo last year. And as I'm looking at this one condo, which I'm like, as soon as I walked in, I'm like, this is it. I had a little hummingbird out on the balcony. I'm like, see, it's validation.
That's a without a doubt sign for sure.
Yeah. So is there any particular message that Dr. Dyer has been trying to get through to humanity right now? Through you, is there something specific that he really wants us all to know?
Yes, that we each can make a difference. We don't have to wait for someone in authority, someone in power, in politics, president, whatever. We can make a difference. We have to just remember who we are, understand that we have the divine within us, and we could create miracles in our lives and in the world as well. We have to understand whatever we do to oneself or another, it affects the whole. And to raise the vibration of the planet, each one of us can do it and create peace in our lives and in the world as well.
Well, what a beautiful note to end our interview off on today, Karen. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been such a pleasure chatting to you. So if people want to connect with you and get their hands on the book, where can we send them to do that?
Well, they could find that on Amazon.com, any major bookstore. But if you want to go to my website, it's KarenNoe.com. That's KarenNoe.com.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again, Karen, and thank you for being the conduit for this message, so that the teachings of Dr. Dyer can still live on. Thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Wonderful. Now, guys, I encourage you, please, let's get the word out. Let's share this video. You can do that by clicking the Facebook and the Twitter share buttons on this page. Also, make sure that you can click on the banner to the side or the link underneath to go through to Karen's website so you can download the book and connect with her. And then after all that is over, don't forget to click the link below that so you can download the free ebook version of my best-selling book, Never in Your Wildest Dreams. So until next time, remember to live large, choose courageously, and love without limits. We'll see you soon.